Hi, everybody. Nobody yet. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Maybe? Can you hear me? Yes? Super. Hi, hi, hi. I just got into town, so I'm sleepy. And we're going to see if we can get an hour out of this, but if we can't, we can't. I'd be fine with that. Oh, we posted. Hi, Alicia. Thanks for liking. I heard it like drives the viewers up or something, so that's cool. And I flipped this picture up here, so it should make better sense from you guys' side. Right? Can you see it better? You can read it, right? Thanks, thanks, thanks. It's backwards? And is the whole thing backwards? Am I backwards? If I hold this up, is it backwards? It's backwards? What? I wonder if I can fix that while I'm live or if I can't. Let's see, hold on. What is happening? Let's see, hold on. What is happening? Oh, I know what's happening. Hold on. Do not mirror my camera, right? Oh, it's the same. No? Can you read it?
That's better, but that
the picture's still missing. Well, that's gonna be backwards for today then. Oh well, oh well, oh well. Anyways, hi, thanks for coming. Just got back into town from Tejas. I got to see family. Super tired. Thanks for coming on anyways. We're gonna try to get to an hour. We're gonna try hard. So, what the last time I was on, what did we talk about? Timothy Poole. And how since then he's retired. He's gotten to retire, not get fired for unaliving someone while on duty, but he got to retire. Sounds like Charlotte County to me, but yeepers. Also, I watched, is anybody on here from Northport, Florida? Not Charlotte County, Florida? Somehow Charlotte County, Florida messed up the Northport case too. We watched the Denise Amberly thing. Why is my hat doing this? So strange. I hate wearing hats on here. This backwards thing is so trippy. Anyways, the Denise Amberly thing that I don't know if you guys watched it. She was on 2020. Her story. So sad. Oh my gosh. I think it's it's the newest 2020. If you have Disney Plus or any of that. We downloaded it and watched it on the plane. Oh, and it's so sad. And Charlotte County messed that up too. Ugh, terrible. So I'm trying to figure out where do we want to start today. My husband is here, but he's in the shadows, so hopefully he will give me input and let me know where to start.
Where to start?
Yeah. What do you guys want to know? I feel like I've shared so many screenshots. We can keep sharing them. So for everybody just jumping on, everyone hates it when I give just a redundant introduction, but my name's Christina. I worked in Punta Gorda, Florida, for a man with money and connections. That guy, hence the connections. Sorry it's backwards today. I thought I was helping us out, but I wasn't. So, yeah. So after his partner passed away, whom I also worked with, and then I didn't do some things that were not illegal, but I consider them to be hyper immoral, like writing $300,000 checks to him without anybody else knowing or any reason. I've never done it before. So he fired me and has since been trying to destroy my life. And I guess what he didn't bank on is that I have receipts for days and days and days. And he had a friend of his that's the sheriff in the town that I worked in and lived in, his friend. And his Detective Farley went to my former boss's house and basically just took an Excel spreadsheet that my former boss, Bruce Lashley, that his daughter made of expenses, and Bruce said, I don't know anything about those. And then they issue a probable cause affidavit for me, and I'm arrested, and my face is all over the internet, and all of these things. And this was a year ago in September, and nothing has still happened with the case because, you know, who knows? A lot of case management or something. I've never went to any of them. And then supposedly we were going to have some kind of a court date, but then we never did. And so since then, only for the last couple of months, I've been able to say anything about this, which has been liberating, not gonna lie. Having somebody be able to just blast your face all over the internet and accuse you of all these things you've never done is such an insane experience. But yeah, God has been super faithful. And I have really great friends. You guys all know who you are. But it has been such a journey. And so basically I just started coming on. If you need to catch up, if you want to catch up, you can go to the YouTube channel at Lashley Lies and you can watch all my previous lives. And it's long. There's a lot of information. But if you have any questions, then you can ask me. So share my videos with people. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for coming on. It's hard for me to know what people know and what they don't know. So if you have other questions, you can ask me specifically. But I have been asked a lot about some of the previous girlfriends and what happened after they were not girlfriends. So he was a notorious womanizer, I don't know. I just got a call or a message. I got a call and then a message today getting off the plane though from a private investigator working a different case of his, asking if he was kicked out of any bars recently. And so there's probably something to that I don't know. So if you guys have been at any bars and see Bruce Lashley, come on, I'll bring you in the box. It'll be fun to talk about. So anyways, I get a bunch of questions about the girlfriends and like what they got or didn't do or what would happen after they broke up. So basically, like I've said before, he would have he would have girlfriends and then, fiancés. They would become fiancés super fast. Part of my job was like moving them in and out of his house at different times. And so, and he also had a mover. I shouted him out the last one. I won't keep doing it to him. But if you need your stuff moved and you live in this area, call Matt the Mover because I've seen his work and it's great and quick. He can move a girlfriend in and out in the same day, like if you needed him to. So, hi, Bonnie. So I was saying that I'm tired. I don't think it's jet laggy because I only went to Texas, but maybe it's just being old. I think I'm just old and tired. But I'm going to try to stay on task with my ADD, and I'm going to try to show more receipts. If you guys have questions, then let me know because it's way easier for me to do it that way. But I think tonight we'll go over bank statements and some of the retaliatory behavior with girlfriends. Is that good? I love this little mic thing. So let's start with a girlfriend. One of the last girlfriends that he had. She's actually a super cool person. But after they broke up, if you guys have not caught on or caught any of these before, one of the fake things, the whole PCA is fake, but probable cause affidavit is fake. But one of the things in there says that one of the charges, or however many charges, were to a law firm called Bogle Law. And I went over this before, but just a really quick recap. So Bogle Law sent my attorneys a voice recording or, a legally recorded call from when non-detective Christopher Farley called them to see if I was a client. Well, he said that their paralegal did a great job of that whole, attorney-client privilege. So they're not even allowed to say if I was or wasn't or whatever, and they didn't. But non-detective Christopher Farley went ahead and wrote in the piece of paper that he wrote, and he got notarized. No indictment, no grand jury, no proof ever had to be shown to anyone. He just had to sign this paper saying that he believed that what Bruce was saying was true, with zero evidence in our small town, except for a homemade Excel spreadsheet that Bruce's daughter made, okay? And so then they, called me and was basically like, you can come in or we're going to, arrest you or give you a warrant, something. I don't know how, not a warrant, yeah, an affidavit, probable cause, I don't know. I'm not an attorney or a criminal, obviously. I don't understand all this, but I do know that they said that if I didn't come in, then they were going to issue some kind of a warrant. Either way, I was going to be arrested. So my attorney's like, well, we can't get anything unless you turn yourself in, which I know now is not checking myself in. But so all this stuff is super like retaliatory in nature. He gets mad. He wants to take stuff back, blah, 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 or, you know, ruin your life, et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, in that PCA, whenever they said, non-detective Christopher Farley said that I was the one who was a client of Bogle Law, which Bogle Law sent the recording. They never said. But even had they said that, he says in the PCA that all those charges should be attributed to me because they said that I was a client. Well, Christopher Farley never even looked to see if Bruce Lashley was a client. Ooh, this thing is so weird and touchy, so I'm going to do my best. But he was a client, and if you cannot read this, this is the draft. This is a draft that they wrote for him, and I took out the girlfriend's name because, you know, that's rude. We're just here to, like, make those three people be honest, but, which is Bruce Lashley, non-detective Christopher Farley, and Brandon Lashley, his daughter. And probably a little bit of him, too, right? Because he seems to be, you can't have so many things go wrong in Charlotte County and you be the big guy and not have to be the big guy, right? So, plus they're buddies. So much money. It's all public record. You can see. So anyways, in this, because look who was a client of Bogle Law. Bruce Lashley was. It's so annoying. And so non-detective Farley just completely never even asked that question, probably. Definitely does not include it in the PCA. Just says right there, as a civil servant, that I am the one responsible for all of this, anything paid to Bogle Law. But look, the agreement with Bruce Lashley. I represent Bruce Lashley regarding the matters ensuing from the termination of your engagement. Guys, this is October 13th, 2023. So I was, so 2 weeks after this, I was fired by him for not doing, you know, not writing huge checks to him that I didn't know anything about. Oh, and for telling his former boss or his former partner's daughter about the checks that I wouldn't write, et cetera, et cetera. So, so this says, this is how Bruce is. So he will have a fiance, take her on a jet that he, you know, rents to wherever, the Bahamas sometimes, like wherever, right? So he just, what's that term for? Love bombing. It's a love bomber. And so he would take them and just do all this stuff, normally get a house, a car, one of those little cavalier-looking dog things or whatever. Like, he's got dogs everywhere from his exes. And so we would refer to it as, like, the girlfriend package. And so, no, I was never a girlfriend. I worked for a company. Like I said, you can catch up on the other lives. It's a whole lot to kind of go through every single time. But I worked for a company that he was a shareholder, he's a part of, and then I got in-kind payment basically, so he didn't have to pay employment taxes, and he could write all this stuff off on his taxes, and I would, you know, kind of be his wrangler, like I said, move the girlfriends in and out. Oh, that's a cute pumpkin, it's scary. And all these other random things, and we got into some nitty-gritty detail about some sexual harassment stuff and all of that with a different employee at a different restaurant, the last one. Again, catch up on the YouTubes. But for today, this is just an example of the retaliatory nature that is Bruce Lashley. So October 13th, we get sent this draft. He had a girlfriend and got her engagement rings, Dior bags, clothing. I'll read through this whole entire thing. They owned a dock together, or like a dock at a Boca Grande, like to tie a boat, a dock slip or whatever. So so all these things. So after they break up, then he gets Bogle Law, non-detective Farley. Someone should, why is he not retired? Has he retired? Where is he even at, this guy? So I used to see him on, you know, the Facebook and stuff. I have even asked him to, I tried to friend request him, but he wouldn't be my friend. I know he can't actually, nor do I want to be his friend, but I just wanted him to know that I am not afraid of him and all of his lies, and I really hope he jumps on one of these lives with me one day. I'm sure under some fake account, if he hasn't already. That's what loser cowards do, but yeah, that would be cool, because I would love for him to see all the stuff that I have, and my attorneys say it's fine because we have so much stuff, so it's fine. So anyways, back to the draft of this demand letter. This is what Bruce had Bogle Law, his attorney at the time, send to a ex-girlfriend. Oh. So it says, Miss So-and-so, I represent Bruce Lashley regarding the matters ensuing from the termination of your engagement. Lucky girl. Mr. Lashley hereby respectfully requests the following actions to be taken promptly, no later than 10 days from the date of this letter. Return of conditional gifts. Mr. Lashley requires the immediate and safe return of the following items, which were provided to you as conditional gifts. So basically that's it. Everything that he does, he wants to say is like conditional, or is, you know, according to, which it's kind of like, it's real blackmail-ish, but if you have enough money and enough attorneys, he's blown through like all of them in Punta Gorda basically at this point, but whatever. So anyways, you have to blah blah conditional gifts given in contemplation of marriage, and thus are subject to return upon the non-fulfillment of this condition, the marriage. So it says engagement ring, wedding set valued at $240,000. So let me preface this with like, they had probably been dating for $240,000. So let me preface this with like, they had probably been dating for how long? A couple months? Like, not even. It was like, he gets engaged like that. So when people are looking at this like PCA, oh my gosh, $200,000, like, no. Like, that was sure in kind, like what he was paying for me, like to work for him for, you know, 5+ years. He's literally just like dropping, you know, $240,000 plus engagement rings for these girls, and he's had multiple since. It's sort of a fun game to watch. You could make it a, you know, a game if you wanted to. Every time Bruce gets a girlfriend, take a, you know what? I'm not allowed to say so many things on here, but you know, like a drinking game. You probably die, but I mean, unalive. Ugh. Anyways, so engagement ring, $240,000. Earrings valued at $20,000. Diamond bracelet valued at $20,000. Chanel handbag valued at $6,000. Dior handbag, $4,000. Clothing purchases valued over $20,000. I'll let you guys see as best as I can. Okay, it likes it this way. Can you see it? Ah. Okay. I feel like you can see what I just read. Going once, going twice. Yeah. So then, and then execution of a quitclaim deed. So Mr. Lashley made a conditional gift to you in the interest of a boat slip, specifically a boat slip number blah blah at the Boca Grande North Marina. This was provided as a conditional gift in contemplation of marriage. Okay. We hereby formally demand you relinquish said interest by duly executing the attached quitclaim deed, ensuring it is signed, notarized, and returned to our office, and discontinue contact with Mr. Lashley. Mr. Lashley does not want to seek legal action, which is funny because wouldn't this be considered legal action to some degree? But okay. Anyways, Florida law, blah, 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 blah. The rest of it is pretty boring. And again, this was a draft of the letter that did get sent to this former girlfriend. And this is how Bruce operates. He also had messaged me. He had me, Boca is nice. It is nice. The boat slip was expensive. And good for her. She did what people do. And have I kept up on his last... Have you kept up on his last? So, yeah. So his last DUI case is interesting because he apparently hit a doctor. And I don't know the doctor. But I guess he hit a doctor, totaled his car, called Sheriff Permel, talked to him on his personal cell phone for what I've been told is roughly 20 minutes. I mean, that's weird, no? Apparently he thought he was just going to walk away from it like everything else. And but that is still in the works. So I have followed it because they have like a whole team of people who are working on that who have contacted us. And so, you know, I gave them whatever information I could about his DUI in 2019 that, you know, we worked hard to get expunged. So, but that's like what he does, right? He just goes and does whatever he wants. And then, so I don't know when he has court for any of that stuff. I'm assuming never because he doesn't ever seem to have to be accountable for anything. But, yeah, so we had that. Where was I going with that? The girlfriend package, yes. So anyways, there was a different girl that I talked about before, and after they broke up, he had me message the CPA to ask if if she could be 1099 for the plastic surgery he bought for her. That was embarrassing. And the answer is no, just so you know. You can only 1099 for like work things, but so anyways, like I said, catch up on the YouTube boxing gloves. Look at you go. Catch up on the YouTube if you have, you know, I don't want to go round and round with the same stuff that I have said over and over again. Ooh, I could go over the text messages that day. I have so much stuff, you guys. So when he was saying that his daughter was going to, in the probable cause affidavit, he says that when he started realizing that some of his stuff wasn't done, which is complete not truths, he said that he got more involved, and so he wanted someone suggested that his daughter work with him because things were not getting done or something. And as he got more involved in his businesses, also so completely not true. And I think I went over a bunch of that the last one, but we could deep dive again if we want to. But so was there ever a boyfriend package? Not that I knew of. It's funny though. You could try, I guess. Let me see. So anyways, he says in the PCA that I didn't want his daughter working so that like I wouldn't be caught doing all of these things, which is insane. But we ended up having a phone conversation about it the day after his partner passes away. So his partner of lots of years passes away suddenly. He's the one with all the money and all like runs all the things. Bruce only kind of gets like royalty or like owner disbursement checks or whatever. Like he doesn't get he's not like a managing member of any company, none of them. And so like he doesn't work at any of them. He's not like a decision maker at any of them. The only reason he ever had been before was because he basically had like Rick's proxy because Rick was, you know, like I've called him this whole time, like Oz behind the scenes with all the money. He only wanted to be involved in stuff if it, you know, if it made like his money. Like, was he making money? Was he not? Like that. So that was all he really cared about. Bruce got to run around and act like he was this huge decision maker and all these things, which he was not. So anyways, so the day after, these are text messages with Bruce and I. The day after his partner passes away, this was me sending him a message about what the, gotta look at that. Sorry, what? Were Rick and Bruce drug runners back in the day? So I did not work for them back in the day. And I know that Rick was definitely none of those things. I cannot speak for Bruce, but I mean, I won't speak for Bruce, not clearing anything up for him, just so you know. But I can say, no, Rick absolutely was not any of that stuff. But I have heard, you know, the Zemel Road rumors, yada, yada, yada. I'm not sure. Bruce is always involved with all kinds of people doing all kinds of things, so who knows? But Rick was into cars and money. And, you know, his one daughter and his grandkids. That's it. Oh, okay. So anyways, this was text message between us. And this is the day after Rick passes away. And we had just gotten off the phone. So this is me up here telling him about we had to answer questions that the newspaper was going to run an article about Rick. So this is me texting him like, you know, is there anything else that you want to share? And then we were on the phone and I texted him back in response to getting off of the phone with him because the day after Rick passes, he's telling me that, you know, like that Brandolyn, his daughter, who lied about all this stuff, that she wants to come on and work now. Well, convenient, right? Because after they would come, so this is the day after, and I want to say it was a Friday. Yeah, so he had asked me to write that check Friday, and I had told him that I didn't know where the checkbook was. I knew that, what is it, sorry. I always heard they were, you know what, smugglers back in the day, and that's how they made all their money. So, like I said, I'm not in the business of clearing anything up for Bruce Lashley. I think he's a horrible person and a liar, and I think that he would do anything for $1. And like, you know, even try to get me to write checks that his partner would have never written for him the day after he passes away, and everyone else is in shock. So, yeah, but as far as the money, you know, like that's, Bruce only ever had money really because of Rick. They, you know, just the whole, they made tons of money on dirt, you know, at a landfill, and didn't realize it was going to blow up the way that it did, and then it did, and then, you know, invested that money into other companies in a nutshell. Like I said, we get into a lot of this in some of the earlier lives if you want to catch up on the YouTube, but I don't want to spend a ton of time going into how it all progressed, but I do in some of the earlier ones. But thank you for the questions, and keep asking them if you have them. Private lands and stuff, yeah. So, yeah, the Zemel, yeah, I don't know about all that. Yeah. So, yeah, the Zemel, yeah, I don't know about all that. Am I frozen for everyone or just him? I'm back. Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what's happening. Is it on? My husband over here is telling me, hey, Bonnie. Oh, thanks. Perfect. Okay. So I gave you the YouTube. My husband over here is telling me when I'm not. So, nope. Apparently it's my internet. Just your internet is my internet now, neighbor. So, no, thankfully my husband is helping me. So, brought up planes and it was shut down. Oh, yeah. Funny. So anyways, he wanted me to write his big checks. Rick's daughter was supposed to do Brandolyn's hair the day after her dad passed away. And wouldn't a normal person be like, no, your dad just suddenly passed away. Completely unexpected, right? Of course you're not doing my hair. That didn't happen. Brandolyn went in to get her hair done because, you know, the world revolves around them. And so Rick's daughter went to do it. As they were there, when I wouldn't write the checks, and then I told April about it. Well, obviously, Bruce didn't like that I, you know, told on him or wasn't loyal to him, but I wasn't about to do that. Plus, Rick's office was, like, it was so terrible to be in. Like, nobody, I mean, I just worked with him for years, like, right across that desk that Bruce has asked me to go in and rummage through, which I refused to do. I couldn't even be in there without crying. It was so sad. And, I mean, we didn't know, I mean, Rick passed from a heart attack, like, suddenly, and, like, we had no idea. So the next day, to be asking me to write these crazy checks that I would have to rummage through his office to find, and I told April, and she was like, no. So the other part was that Rick would have never written that check right then, and I wouldn't have been the one to fill out that check. His daughter was still involved in, like, certain things. Rick's daughter was still involved in certain parts of businesses. I worked for SLD, so Southwest Land Developers, which was, like, you're referring to the landfills, and other companies, like, the one checkbook that he was asking to write this check out of, I did not. Were all the offices in Muscle Car City at this time? Yes. So, so there was in Muscle Car City, which was closed to the public. He just had his private cars in there at this point. So his office was like dead center. If you ever went into Muscle Car City, you know the museum was all around, and his was this like in the center. So that was the same. And so I worked in that office with him, and then I also had an office up in the front, and then there's kind of an extension to that, and Bruce had a desk in there. And then in a different part of the building, there was, April still had an office, or we would call it, you know, that's where the SLD computer was. So even when, I spoke about this in the last live, even whenever Bruce was there and Rick was still alive, the SLD computer always stayed in the other office. Bruce had wanted to move it into the front office where we were, and even Rick was like, nope, it's staying over there. So, like, Bruce never had any control is what I'm getting at. He never wrote checks. Rick was the one who said when, and he would wait until, like, the taxes were paid or until, like, you know, there was always, like, a method to what he was doing. And so when he passes the day before this, the next day, Bruce is like, you know, write this check out of this checkbook. I don't even know where this checkbook is. I probably know where it is, somewhere in the office, but I'm not going and rummaging through all this. I can't do it without crying, one. And two, it's just like, you know, it was just insane. Like, who's asking to do this? And so, I mean, the same people who are still getting their hair done, like, April's literally still, in my opinion, like, in shock. Literally. Like, because all this just happened. But they still go, and then, after she gets her hair done, then Brandolin's husband, Mike Daughtry, and her and Bruce are all like, well, I think while Brandolin's getting her hair done in the salon a couple doors down from Muscle Car City that April owns. So April's dad passes. She is what I believe to be in like shock. Is just mindlessly doing only Brandolin's hair. Like, it's so insane. Even thinking back, it's so crazy, like, that these people, the way that they behave. But, and they supposedly, you know, they came in acting like the cavalry. They love her, they love her, they love her. Like, okay. Meanwhile, Bruce and Mike Daughtry, Brandolin's husband, who is somehow some kind of a sheriff somewhere, thanks to Bruce, I guess, they go into Muscle Car City, and Rick had just gotten a Rolls Royce, and they're like opening the doors, like sitting in it, like insane, like so crazy. Like, who does this the day after your partner, like, you know, in the newspaper, best friend, like going through all of his stuff? And then Brandolin and Bruce, Brandolin, who has had nothing to do with any companies at all, his daughter and him, go into Rick's office, and they're rummaging through all of his things to find this checkbook. So after this all happens, I'm just like stunned, right? Like, I can't even be in there. April goes and changes locks at some point, and Bruce no longer has access to her dad's office. Then he finds out that I still do, and that kind of is the beginning of him losing his mind. But all this happens within, you know, 48 to 72 hours after Rick passes away. Like, this is the beginning of the weird stuff, is like not even 24 hours in. And then over the next 2, because I was like, you passed on a Thursday, so this is happening on a Friday. And then, you know, Saturday, Sunday, I think I was away at a funeral, it was like a memorial, my husband's family on that Monday, and then I come in the next Tuesday, and that's when everything really hits the fan. Once I think he realizes that the locks have been changed and he doesn't have access to certain things. And so I think he's starting to feel like pushed out. And he had also like, it was all kinds of crazy things. So back to the text messages though, so the day after Rick passes, so this is that Friday earlier in the day. No, sorry, it's the afternoon. So this is the afternoon. I think that her hair was at like 6 or something. So they would go in there after all of this. And, I believe. And he said, and so we had a conversation, him and I, that was not on text message, phone calls. I think this might have been when I was walking out. That must have been I think it was in person. I think they must have been going to do the hair thing, and I was leaving and ran into him. And he said something about Brandolin coming on to work with us, which is, I mean, Rick passed away the day before this. I mean, we were at maybe like 24 hours, right? And so to even be talking about her coming on and working with us at this point was so bizarre. But then also, we didn't even know what the job would be, because Rick is the one who controlled everything and did everything. So without him being the investor, the money guy behind it, I mean, there's nothing that Rick did. There's nothing that Bruce does or did. So it was like a weird timing. So I had texted him after that conversation. I would be nervous for her to do anything with her job right now, because on paper, Brandolin is like an orthopedic doctor or something. She's never like worked in that or done anything. But it's like she was really good at school, and then when she had to actually work, it was like she never really had a job. So again, goes back to, why is all this stuff happening? Because like, she's looking at the way he's spending $240,000 on this and $250,000 on that and boat slips and all the things. So then it's like, I think for her, she's like, wait, and you were spending all this money on her too? I think, it's easy for him to be like, no, because that's all that she cared about. And so, so I said, I would be nervous for her to do anything with her job right now. It's going to take a while to get all this sorted, and who knows what's on the other side of it. The marina is a long time away from being anything. And we have to do is a long time away from there being anything that we have to do with it. And the same with the pit, really. Most of my days were working with Rick on his stuff. So, like, Rick was getting more into, like, some developing and things, so I would work with him mostly. So there wasn't really anything that Brandy, it was a legitimate question. What is Brandy going to do, right? And he says, now, if you read the PCA, in fact, should I just find that part? Because if you read the PCA, and then you read what he says next, it's just more on top of more on top of more, right? So he says, because it's so annoying. Okay, so he says in this PCA, other people had suggested that to Bruce that his daughter Brandolyn start working for him once he started realizing that some of his work was not completed. Bruce said that Christina objected, claiming that an additional person was not necessary. It's like around line 7. Bruh. If I figure this out, okay, we're all tracking. So that's what the PCA says about this. And then this one, I say this, I would be nervous for her to do anything with her job that she hardly went to anyways. Okay, it's going to take a while to get all this sorted. Who knows what's on the other side of it? The marina is a long time away from there being anything we have to do with it. The same with the pit, really. Most of my days were helping Rick. He says what he said in that PCA, and then to me in this text, he says, yes, I agree. That's why she's going to keep her job. She currently works 3.5 to 4 days a week. My mom wants them to move here. She will always keep her job, even when she's here. Okay? So I never said that, nope, she shouldn't, couldn't, da-da-da-da. None of that is true, okay? Right here, yes, I agree. She should keep, that's why she's going to keep her job. Definitely not what we just heard about there. It was a new marina. It was going to be a new marina. I think the property's for sale right now, so it's not going to be a new marina. But, what's his name? This hat thing is driving me nuts. Let me just, lose the hat. Lose the hat. Oh my gosh. What was that thing called? Please, I hope I get a jury. I want a jury. Something needs to happen. This is crazy town. So after that text, he says, yes, she's going to keep her job. I say, yes, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but there's really nothing to learn or do right now because there wasn't anything to learn or do. And if you look at the last YouTube that I posted, or the last live that I posted on the YouTube, I share all of this evidence where one of the last things I did was chase down a sexual harassment situation regarding him and a young employee of Harpoon Harry's. I'm like, is that what you want your daughter to do? Or move your girlfriends in or out? Or, message with your CPA constantly about 1099ing ex-girlfriends and ex-fiancés and all this stuff? I'm literally sitting there being like, I don't know, which part of the family business do you want her to learn, Brucey Bruce? So then he says, so I say, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but there's really nothing to learn for her to learn or do right now. He says, yes, we will have to look to see what things look like in a few weeks. Her mom really wants her to learn about all the businesses. Barb and I also had a nice talk with April, and I spoke with Dana Meekum about selling Rick's cars. He said card, but it meant to say cars. Dana and his son are flying down to appraise them. Okay. Yeah. Don't be a Debbie Downer. Yeah. So if you didn't catch that part right there, this is the day after his partner passes away. And he is saying that he's calling people down to sell his cars. What are you doing? It's so insane. So first, like I said, well, when I said Debbie Downer, I was referring to, Debbie Downer was the daughter not working. I never said, the PCA says, that I, said that she should not work with us, or I never said that. Like I said in the text messages, I said I didn't want to be a Debbie Downer, but there wasn't going to be anything for her to do right now. Or, he didn't do anything with the companies anyway, so probably ever, but I didn't even say that. I just said that it didn't make sense. His partner literally had died, yes, thank you, the day before this, and you're just like, she needs to come, and we're going to look through his office, and all these things. So it was, you just, how do you even respond to some of this stuff, right? Just like this. So he says, I spoke with Dana Meekum about selling Rick's cars. You guys, this is October 20th. We're 24 hours out of his best friend on paper passing away. And these are the things that he's saying. And it was a lot for everyone. And so, except for him and his, daughter or whatever. And so I say to him, they're flying down to appraise them. I said, I feel like everything needs to slow down a little. I fear things are getting a little convoluted. I looked at FPC's operating agreement. Other members have the right to buy deceased members' shares before their family. They're definitely going to do that. I said, I'll look at the rest over the weekend, but if they're similar, you could be in the position where you have to buy more shares or become a minority owner. He said, wow, I think some say only family members can receive it. We need to read them all. I say FPC does not. So you can start to see in these text messages that he is starting to... Exactly. They were never Bruce's cars. It was insane. Like, it was literally nuts. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Like, why would you even have his... Yeah. Yes. Oh, he had, yeah, some of the most awesome cars. For sure. So yeah, so that was the thing. So, but you start to see in the text messages, right? The difference between the PCA and then what the text messages show is like the PCA is reading like, you know, oh my gosh, I didn't know anything about anything and she did all these things, and that's not, like I said, you could look at the last live and I proved Bruce always knows where his money is. Like, I had challenged everyone to try to steal. That's not, like I said, you could look at the last live and I proved Bruce always knows where his money is. Like, I had challenged everyone to try to steal $10 from Bruce. I bet you that you couldn't. He has alerts on his phone, so like all the things. So it's like that part. I feel like, again, watch one of the other lives on the YouTube, and I get into all of that. But this, you know, reading through these text messages between him and I, the days after, you know, Rick passes away, you start to kind of see him begin to sort of spiral, right? Like, I never said that his daughter couldn't work for us, shouldn't be, like, none of that stuff. I was never behind on anything. Most of my job for him was just really tracking him down and doing his own taxes, which, again, in other lives, I have shown lots of emails and all this stuff with the CPA. He was always, all of his emails were always added. A simple, like, IP search will show that he's the only one who could ever move money from the accounts, not me. This is all, like, it's really, really crazy that that this guy and this guy and the non-detective Christopher Farley could even do any of this is like why I'm on here even. Like, because I have all the evidence in the world that I didn't do it, but that they can like destroy your life over it is like, it's insane. Like, we should all care, right? Like, I mean, I care. Like, my family cares, like my kids care. Like, this has been so crazy, and it's cost me so much money. It's cost everyone around me so much money even. Good night. I could tell you more, but I can't say everything. So anyways, you start to see kind of his spiral happening here. And so whenever I tell him to slow down and I start to talk to him about the actual operating agreements, you start to see like, oh, who decides that price? Wow. No, I think so what's happening here is if the family can get the shares, which is what he wants to happen, right? If the family would get to keep Rick's part of all these businesses, then Bruce is under the impression that, you know, he's going to still get to do what he's doing. He's going to still get to run all around town and act like he's the, you know, the big guy, and get to, you know, like act like he's a decision maker, and maybe even more so because, you know, April has a young family and is busy and has her own, you know, salon and all this stuff. So I'm sure in his brain he's thinking that, you know, Rick kind of out of the way, if the family gets the shares, you know, like he's saying here, if the family gets the shares, then he still gets to run around acting like, you know, he's the boss when he's not. He starts getting mad at me whenever I start telling him that that's not what's going to happen. A real unalive the messenger type of situation, you know? So then he says to me, who decides the price? And that one, I sent him a portion of one of the operating agreements. Okay. Mind you, we are still 24 hours out, maybe a little more than that, of his quote unquote best friend partner passing away. And all he wants to talk about is the price of, you know, how do you determine the price of these LLCs? And how do you, I mean, who does that? Like, who does that? And who's doing all of this with, I mean, you supposedly, like, he was your best friend and this is his daughter. Like, wouldn't you want to, I don't know. Maybe it's crazy of me, but I feel like if I were in his position, I would probably be more concerned about Rick's only daughter who had already lost her mom previously, so now she has no parents. And if you were in the position of Bruce, like, wouldn't if something were to happen to me, similar road situation, whatever, I would hope that every person that claimed to care about me would be running in and making sure that my kids are okay. That's my biggest, like, right? Like, that would be, this is, so then he tells me, so we're backing up. So this is the day. Let me see. Should we be doing anything? I'm with mom right now. So this is like 2 days. This is days before I was like terminated, right? So he says in the PCA that he started, how did he word that? That he started seeing that things were not getting done, or suggested that Brandon start working for him once he started realizing that some of his work was not completed. Okay. So that's what the PCA says, that is why he was telling me the day before that Brandon was going to come on. But then you just saw it for yourself in the text messages that that's not the actual conversation that happened. So you guys want me to put the hat back on? Is that what we're saying? It's so hot in there. So now we have a different one, right, where he's saying that stuff was not being completed, that he noticed that I was not doing my job, basically. So, and the PCA says that's why he wanted his daughter to work there. We already saw that wasn't the conversation, but to even build on that, he says, so I'm texting him, I don't know what's going on, I don't want to put that on her. I'm talking about April at this point. I said, I've already let Laura's one of the bankers, and the know to copy me on everything of his, and they basically already do, but I'll let them know why. It's helping me to stay busy, but to be honest, I wish I could have just made him go yesterday, called an ambulance or something, but he swore he was fine and said we were overacting. I feel terrible that I didn't do more. So this is, like I said, the last time I was on here, I'm trying to kind of share as many text messages as I can, but some of them talk a little bit more about Rick's daughter's family going through this, just, logistics, and I just don't really want to, I'm trying to just respect all the people who didn't ask to be a part of this. So, so basically this is the tail end of my text with him, just talking logistics. Have I done XYZ? Do the banks know? Because we had bankers that worked directly with us. Because at this point we're trying to, I have to tell him in another text message, keep everything off of Facebook. Like I said, we're still, within the first 24, 36 hours of Rick passing. So we're trying to get things tied up that need to get tied up. Also, the family is grieving incredibly. Also, it was a shock the day before he was in, and this is what I'm talking about in this last text that I sent before Bruce's response. And he was, when I came in, April was already in with him, and I guess he had been taking some of his, and he had what do you call those things? A pacemaker or a defibrillator thing? So we had issues, but not, I think he was just, I guess he was starting to feel some kind of chest pain or something. I'm not sure all this stuff. When I had come in to work the day before, April was, already concerned that maybe he was taking too many of his nitro pills or something. And so she had somebody come in and check him out, and he just, kind of shushed her away. She was, she was being over caring or over, that we were overreacting. And so when I got there, they were doing that. And then, 30 minutes or so later, I go back to the office, and he was just absolutely not, I don't need to, do anything. And so I'm saying in this tail end of this text to Bruce that it's helping me to stay busy, da-da-da. Bruce says to me, so we're all feeling bad because the day before, should we have called an ambulance? Should we have made him go? What could we have done differently the day before that when he was trying to make it seem like it wasn't a big deal? Because it would be the next morning that April will get the call that he did have a heart attack pass. So all of this is very sudden. super unexpected, and we're talking about the day after, okay? And, or 2 days after at this point, maybe. And so I said, you know, work is helping, or just staying busy is helping me. I wish I would have done more. He says, Christina, you always do so much. Mom said that she's praying for you. I have had a lot of phone calls and texts. I don't want to make any decisions today. Roger Miller called and said he had been working on several things for Rick and I. He would like a meeting with April and I when the time is right. Thank you again. And I said, yeah, I told Roger earlier so he could expect it. I should probably go too. I know way more. Blah, blah, blah. He says, yes, I want you to go. Anyways, all of this stuff to say. This one is where I'm like, I said, please keep everything off of Facebook. And he said, I don't post much on Facebook anyways. And I said, I told her I would tell everyone. He said, everyone in town seems to know. I said, yeah, we can't figure out how. It's all over the crap house. And then I said, I guess it's all over the crap house already. So that's how people are finding out. And then Bruce, he's like, no, I think that Len Beavis and Captain Bill are spreading it. I'm at the crab house and it's quiet here. And I'm like, April hasn't even had a chance to tell her kids yet. He's like, wow. I said, they're at school. He's like, Duper just called. He knows. I'm like, I told him. I have a note he has to sign. And he said that he owes Rick money and Rick owes him for 2 roofs. And I said, both are true. I have it all. So Bruce is kind of spiraling. He's trying to get his hands on stuff, blame people for stuff. He doesn't clearly he's not even really involved in anything. I'm like, yeah, I already know about I have the note. I had to tell him. I had to get this signed. I'm the one who's trying to firm up all these things. And, he's just running around trying to figure out how to get his hands on all this money and rummaging through, his best friend's office that, to this day, the building has, was sold earlier this year, but, to the day it was sold, it was hard to be in there. It's so nuts. Let me see. So this one, he says, good morning, I will meet you. So this is the morning that I'm getting terminated. Okay, these are text messages between us a couple days after. Right? Captain Bill is good people. So Captain Bill calls me Miss Texas. He has actually been, a supporter and in my phone. You'd be surprised at people who have been in my phone who are not as pro-Bruce as people think that they are. But he has always been super good to me. And, but that's another thing, right? Supposedly he was one of Bruce's really good friends. But Bruce is, throwing him under the bus, trying to blame him for telling everybody about Rick, which, he's just not a good dude, this one, but especially this one. So this is the day that I come in, and he says, good morning. So this is at 8:22 in the morning, the day that I get terminated, and it's by a psycho. And good morning, I'll meet you at the office. We need to make copies of all the operating agreements and cancel Dana Meekum if April doesn't want his appraisal. And I said, okay, I'll be there around 9. She doesn't. He said, okay, I'm going over to help Mom on a couple items, and I'll be there. Let's make copies of all LLC operating agreements that Rick and I have. SLD is a corp, so I don't believe there is one. We should have an SLD stock book. So, he's just going right to I think he asked how April was one time, and then the rest of it was just straight to, where's the money? How do you get the money? What about all the operating agreements? So it's his frustration started coming whenever he realized that, there's nothing I can do with the operating agreements. The operating agreements are the operating agreements. And so he would just be mad, or he was, upset that they said what they said. So I think he kind of blamed me a little bit for some of that, and he didn't say this to me, but this is what I kind of inferred, because when I first came on and started working for him in 2019, him and his first, I think this was his second wife, but his longest wife, the mom of his kids, Barb, they were getting a divorce. And so when I first came on, I worked with his attorney and would draft all the operating agreements. Basically she would kind of give, Phyllis Walker, who moved out of the country, and I don't blame her after having working for Bruce for a while. And so she would kind of have these drafts, or we had draft operating agreements, and so I would have to basically make them and give them to her, because this is how Bruce says, it would save him money. He wouldn't have to pay her to do all this stuff. He would have me do it, and then she would proof it or clean it up. And so I think that once it came down to this now all happening, I think there was like frustration that I don't know, like that there were holes in the operating agreements basically, or that it wasn't going to go the way that he thought that it should go or wanted it to go in the event, you know, Rick were to pass. So I think that Bruce 100% thought that he was going to maintain, like, as far as, I mean, pseudo control, not real control. He never had any real control, but you know, he was able to act like he did and run around town and, you know, like, I've heard him tell so many people that he's the president of, you know, FPC or whatever, and like, he has nothing to do with FPC. Like, he gets a check, but like, he does not, like, he's not out on jobs for FPC. Like, there's no, like, it's so wild. But everybody thinks like all this great stuff. So, trying to think of what else somebody asked about the marina before. There was another LLC with Duper, if you guys know him, and another guy, and they were gonna do. It was called Punta Gorda Outdoors was the LLC, and there was going to be a marina kind of by that Captain Bill's area back there. And so we had been doing a bunch of work on getting that. It was going to be basically mostly like a dry boat storage place, and then maybe have like a restaurant or like a tiki or something out there. Now the property is for sale. Yes. Mm-hmm. So Rio Villa. Yes. So anyways, so that's when you were asking about the marina. I just saw this thing. So this was like the same thing. Like, if we had to move money into anything, this is coming from Bruce. Like, I just transferred $10,000. Okay. I could never move money, people. I think I showed this one before. Thanks. We have $36,000 in that account. I could put more in if necessary. This is the same guy who is saying that he has no idea about his money ever. I know the guy that bought it. It's Barry's old place. Oh, okay. So, I mean, I have like receipts on for days and days and days. Have any of you people watched that Denise Amberly thing on 2020? Charlotte County messed that up too. Ooh. I'm really just glad I don't live in Charlotte County anymore, to be honest. Oh gosh, you should watch it. It's the latest 2020, and if you live in Northport or in, I thought for the longest time, even like my husband says, that it was some kind of like error between the dispatchers, like that, like when the calls came in for her, that it was like Sarasota County and then Charlotte County. I did not realize it actually went to Charlotte County and they just messed up. That's crazy. And that girl probably could have not had to go through all of that. Yeah, it's how what? Oh yeah. I know. Last week we talked about the Timothy Pool and his unaliving of a man that I don't even believe needed to be tased, but and then he conveniently retired. If we all saw that, and what was it? And then what? The same Alex, whatever his name is. I watch a lot of Desperate Housewives. Me too, because it's better than all this, but. Yes, that was super horrible, and the 2020 is horrible. We downloaded it and watching it on the plane, just thinking, you already heard this, I was crying half of the plane ride, just crying, because it was terrible, terrible. And so, but anyways, back to the Timothy Pool guy, he, got to retire after all of that. I mean, I hope that the state picks up charges. They should, because I feel like there's way more evidence there. Also, I feel like there's got to be some way to get that man's Ring camera that was right there, or his cell phone video, right? Like, seeing what's happening from his perspective. Not that, like I said before, I could even stomach it, but how can they just do all this crazy stuff? And then Alex, what's his name, was Alex something from Fox News. Ostis something. Do you know what the last name was? Like starts with an O. He's this dweeby little dude. And he reported all about me. And I have since emailed him, like, hey, buddy bud, do you want all of, like, the proof that I have, like, after you blasted my face everywhere? Because I feel like he's definitely on the Charlotte County Sheriff's payroll, maybe. He came out, like, everybody watched the same video, dude. But you're just like, nope, like, that officer did nothing. Then why is he retiring before he can be charged? I mean, I'm sure, and not before. I know they should be apples and oranges, but don't really know how this goes over there in Charlotte County, so it'll be interesting to see. But I hope there's justice for that family the same way I hope that there's justice for me. And when you watch the Denise Amberly thing, you are going to cry. I warn you. Even if you were here and you think that you know all about it. So sad. And then when you see that the people who made that error were, like, given hardly nothing, like, this is like 36 hours off of work, 24 hours off of work, and they had to take some class. Like, you're in the job of saving people's lives and you didn't do that. So how do you have a job? I don't feel like they should. We could do this. So I want to make sure I can't share, like, oh, here it is. I want to make sure there's no, like, account numbers on here. Like, I almost flashed my social last week. Not that you could do anything with it right now because he's destroyed my whole life. But this is a Lashley USA small business checking account. I'm going to show you that it's that. I should probably mark some of these up. So I'm going to show you that it's that, right? Lashley USA right here. Bank, OZK. And then I'm going to flip down and just take the account number off of it. But these are what would get to... Bruce had all of these all the time. So these things highlighted are transfers that can only come from Bruce because there is no money in this account ever unless Bruce puts money in it. So if anyone could explain to me how I supposedly spent or had drafted all of this money for all of these years that he knew nothing about. Oh. Yeah, I'm getting really good at these puzzle things, you guys. So there's that. And then there are also copies of every check attached to every single statement. And he also has all of this online, and I could do this for days and days and days, show you guys. But no, all that has to happen in Charlotte County is you be friends with this guy, and he'll have his buddy come out to your house and take your homemade spreadsheet. You don't just even write it on a piece of paper. I've never even gotten to see the spreadsheet. Like, I don't even know if it's actually on a piece of paper or if it's like, oh yeah, be careful in Punta Gorda, Florida, if that's where you are. What else can I share here tonight? I feel like we've already kind of hit our little time thing. So unless you guys have questions, honestly, I'm not even gonna try. Who's which guy? Sheriff Permel. Oh, are you not from Charlotte County? That is Sheriff Permel. And he is buddies with my former boss, Bruce Lashley. That's his first mugshot. He really wanted that one to go away, so I made sure that we dug it back up. Some petty like that. I hope I answered your question. Hi, Lauren Gomes. Sorry you're late. I'm late. I'm so tired. I'm going to answer any questions if you guys have them before I jump off, but I'm going to post this to the YouTube too, so you can he couldn't call his buddy for that one. He tried for 20 minutes, but, you know. Is there a court date or hearing set up for you?
No, that one was in Hillsborough.
Oh, that one, because it was in Hillsborough. Yes. But he did get it expunged. But, yeah, the new one in Charlotte County, so all they've had is case management things, whatever that is. I have no idea. So, it just keeps going and going and going, and nothing happens. So, my attorneys were like, well, you can just give all the proof, say all the stuff, and so, I guess we will see. I think they have something else, like another case management thing coming up in November, or was it? Maybe it's the end of October, and then I don't know. But I would love to have a jury, and I would love for this to not just go away quietly like I feel like they're going to want to do next. You know, like not cooperate, start this whole fire in my life, and then just quietly walk away from it and say that you don't want to participate. And I don't feel like he should get to do that. I feel like he should have to participate, and that he should have to, you know, I mean, they both lied. They both, well, my attorneys don't really, yeah. Oh, you mean for letting me talk? Yeah. Finally. So I don't know. I guess I probably should know. They tell me before, but there's nothing really that like to do at this point. Like we have all the facts. I think that Bruce is not going to want to cooperate, and he's going to want it to go away, and I'm doing all of this, so hopefully that doesn't happen. Why is he not getting charged with filing a false police report? And why does Detective Farley still have a job after lying about a civilian, like clear as day, over and over again? Like, how can you just do this? So, thank you all for joining and for watching and for hearing, because, you know, outside of you guys, then he would get to keep doing this. So, I appreciate everybody talking about it and sharing it, and I want him to be as uncomfortable as I was with my face all over the news everywhere, with my kids having to go to school. And yeah, meet and greet at Leroy's, I would be so down. I really would be. I guess like Leroy's just right on the corner, right? They're super popular. I think that's everybody's kind of go-to. Yeah, I would be down. Somebody set it up. I'll show up. My attorneys are gonna really love this. Maybe somebody can invite them. I'm not allowed to talk to Bruce, but... All right. Maybe we could set up like an event or something. I love it. I mean, I could bring my book. You guys could go through it yourself. All right, I am going to go to sleep. I'm going to be on again at some point this week once I can catch up with my real life. And, but next Tuesday for sure. And you like that, right, Gail? I know. Yeah. Again, don't confuse the Crab House with Bruce Lashley. Bruce Lashley is not the Crab House. I feel like I'd say that to everybody. So, Bruce Lashley is like a minority owner for these companies. Smugglers owns the Crab House. So, and the other, you know, again, April is Rick's daughter, so she's still involved, you know, in all these things. So we don't want everybody thinking, what would be great is if everybody realized that it's only named after, his dad was a mayor a long time ago, and so there was Lashley Court or whatever was the road, so they named it Lashley Crab House. But Harpoons is like Harpoons Crab House in Tampa, Harpoons Crab House in Tennessee. So the Lashley's not about him. So yeah, I don't want to do anything to make anything more difficult for April at all, because she's super good people. You know, the rest of them, but I'm only here to speak the truth about Bruce, and he's the only, I mean, these people and their little friends are, you know, the words I can't say, but, so, Crab House, if you wish, yeah, I have nothing bad against them, just Bruce, personally, so, but, yeah, I mean, everybody do you as far as that goes. Okay, I'm gonna start speaking like gibberish now. Set up the event. I'll come. It'll be a good time. And I'll see everybody Tuesday, if not before that otherwise. Good night.